You're listening to the Manage My Home podcast, the podcast for property owners who would like help with their rental properties. This show is based on the RPM WV Phoenix team's experience in leasing and managing homes and will give you useful advice and tips to succeed with your rental property. And now, from Phoenix, Arizona, here is Lisa from RPM WV Phoenix.
Hi, this is Lisa with Manage My Home. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about the rental home prices in the 85050 Phoenix zip code, as well as the Wildcat Ridge subdivision, which is within that zip code. So the 85850 zip code is this area that you're going to see here, which is in the red. And it basically is going to be north of Union Hills. It's going to be east of Cave Creek, south of Jomax, and then west of Tatum Boulevard. And it's a really great area because you're very close to both the 101 freeway, which is running right here, as well as the 51 freeway too. And these freeways connect to all of the other major freeways in the valley. So it's really a nice location here in the North Phoenix area. And Real Property Management Phoenix, we used the data from the MLS, the Arizona Multiple Listing Systems, to compile our numbers here. And what we're looking at is our top box here. We have the 85050 location. We're looking from 2014 to 2017. You can definitely see that the inventory, of course, has dropped from 408 and 14 to 328 and 17, as well as our average rental homes have increased by quite a bit, 1734 in 2014 and 1954 in 2017. And interesting, in the 2017 year, the average days on the market or average days to rent fell here quite a bit from the previous years. The Wildcat Ridge, just going back to our map here. So our Wildcat Ridge area is going to be the subdivision that is located right in this area, very close to this JW Phoenix Desert Ridge, right here, which is at the Tatum area here. And so what you're going to be, the Wildcat Ridge subdivision is going to be north of the 101, and then it is south of Deer Valley. So again, really close to this Desert Ridge Marriott, and there's a huge shopping center called Desert Ridge right here. And what we're going to find there is that our numbers are pretty similar. It's about probably 250 homes. So you can see, again, you're seeing your inventory drop. You're seeing the rent increases here. Interestingly enough, the average days on market was a little bit higher for this subdivision as compared to the overall 85050 subdivision. So overall, though, this 8505 area and also the which incorporates the Wildcat Ridge is really an excellent area for the rental properties. Again, being that it is so close to the 101 and the 51. Now, this month we're going to start a new segment where we're going to be answering questions from our listeners. And we had a question this week from one of our listeners in New Jersey who was asking, how do you go about transitioning from one property manager to another, or if you're the one managing the home, how do you bring a property manager on board? How do you handle that transition? So we're going to address that here today. So our recommendation is to start that transition around the first to second week of the month before you want to start that transition. So for example, if you want to have a property management company collecting your June rent, this would be the time now, really no later than now, you would want to put that in motion. Because you want to make sure that you're giving your tenants a good 2 weeks notice that you are making that change, so that you don't run into issues where they maybe have mailed their rent payment, for June to the old company, Or sometimes, unfortunately, tenants will use that as a reason to pay late. They'll claim they mailed it to the old management company and really they didn't send it. So we recommend getting that transition started a good 2 to 3 weeks before the first month that you want to collect the rent. And you want to do that, if you're going with a property management company, make sure that the property management company is going to take care of that by, serving the tenant's notice, reaching out by phone, by email, doing a drive-by, kind of all the possible ways there are to contact the tenant to let them know about the change. And just depending on what kind of change you're making, whether it's, you've been managing it, you're going with a property manager, or you're changing property management companies, we kind of always caution owners that there could be a little bit of a bump in the road with the transition, but that usually that smooths itself out within about a month and a half time. So, and again, if you do have any questions or issues you'd like discussed on the show, feel free to email us at info@rpmwvphx.com, and we'll do our best to answer that on one of our shows. Thanks very much, and we'll talk to you next month.